Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into Swank's Takes. It is a late start. It was supposed to be 4:45. We had a bunch of technical difficulties. We have our whole team working on it for the past hour. Mics were not working. Telecasters were not working. It was a mess back here for the past hour or so. Regardless of that, welcome into the show. Welcome to Swank's Takes, the NFL football show. We'll be talking today about analysis of previous weeks in the NFL. We're talking about main stories. The Jets, Devontae Adams now on the Jets. The Chiefs, how do they keep winning? Quarterback controversy, Tua Tagovailoa coming back off of concussion for multiple weeks now and is set to play in Week 8. You may be asking yourself, why are you doing this show, Ryan? And that's a fantastic question. Joe doesn't even know I probably had this in the schedule. Sorry, Joe. Shout out Joe Duffy back in the studio. Shout out TJ. Shout out Robert Gonsolin, all for helping me make this show possible. A lot of hard work went in behind the scenes, and it's great to finally see it come to fruition. So I'm very excited to be here tonight with you. Again, I'm Ryan Swantkowski, and why am I talking NFL? There's a bunch of shows out there. Why are you doing this? I feel that there's a need for a younger demographic to be reached in the NFL space. Don't get me wrong. I love college football more than anything. It's fantastic. But I also love NFL football more than anything as well. Grew up in Houston going to Texans games my whole life. Shout out my family for taking me to all the games. And there's a bunch of different shows out there. I want to reach. My goal would be with this show would be to reach a younger audience, an NFL audience that needs a new personality. That's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm going for this, stepping out of my comfort zone. And I'm here today to share my love of the NFL with you all and break down some of these games and just the overall season that we're having on hand. Okay, let's get right into it. We're going to go straight first into the Thursday night football game that happened just a week ago. We got another game tonight, Week 8. But we're looking back at Week 7, Thursday night football. Broncos, Saints. Let's take a look at some of the plays here. Bo Nix keeping it to the left, going upfield. You already see the score there, 19-3. That is the main story of this game. It doesn't get much closer. Actually, it gets further apart. As the final score from this one will indeed be Broncos 33, Saints 10. I mean, these clips, as you can just tell, the Broncos were laying it on the New Orleans Saints in this one. Saints down Chris Olave, first quarter concussion, left the game early. Rashid Shaheed, their speedy wide receiver, out for the season as well with an injury, as we welcome you back in here. Let's break this game down. So the Broncos moved to 4-3 on the season, and Sean Payton, back in New Orleans, where he won a Super Bowl with Drew Brees just a little bit ago, has now beaten every NFL team in the league. Only 8 total coaches have done that. What a feat for him in this game, and man, did he do it in a major fashion. As you can see the stat sheet on the board there, Bo Nix, 16 of 26, 164 yards. Javonte Williams, 188 yards, with 2 touchdowns. And Franklin with 50 yards receiving. How did the Broncos score 33 points against the Saints there? When you don't see Nix with a touchdown, you don't see Franklin with a touchdown, you see 2 rushing touchdowns. Where did the other points come from? Special teams and defense. That's been the name of the game for the Broncos all year long, defensively especially. But credit has to be given to the young quarterback, Bo Nix. 12th overall pick out of Oregon, playing well this year. 8 total touchdowns to 5 interceptions. To be honest with you, I was not a big believer in him. Sean Payton has him playing well and doing what he needs to do in that system in order for the Broncos to be 4-3. That being said, they're second in the AFC West behind, of course, the one and only Kansas City Chiefs. We have them, a story about them coming up later in the show. You don't want to miss that. And they have the Panthers next in Denver. I'm assuming their record will go from 4-3 to 5-3. Looking at the Saints, like I mentioned, only 10 points. Derek Carr out of this game with an injury, still nursing it. I believe it's a shoulder. Spencer Rattler getting his second career start. It was not a pretty day. 172 yards, 2 fumbles. Not great. As you can see, Kendre Miller there, 36 yards rushing. Kamara didn't even lead the team in rushing. I think that says a lot to this game. Cedric Wilson Jr., 6 catches, 57 yards and a touchdown. Not much to say about the Saints there. It's not looking great. That is their 5th straight loss on the season. They started the season 2-0 under Dennis Allen, moved to 2-5, and honestly, there's not a lot of promise over there, not only because of injuries, just because as the season has progressed, they look worse and worse every single game. It's not looking good over there. They play the Chargers next in LA in Week 8. That's not going to be pretty either, I don't think. I think they probably moved to 2-6. And if you're a Saints fan, I'm sorry, because that start to your season was hot. It has now fallen off greatly. Dennis Allen, potentially on the hot seat. 3rd year with the team. He's 18-23 record so far in those 3 years total. he's probably the biggest coach on the hot seat in the NFL. If I had to give one to you right now, he's one of them. The Saints aren't looking great. Offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak, first year in the system. Again, those first 2 games looked fantastic. I believe averaging over 40 points a game. Since then, dinged up. Hasn't been pretty. It's really all I got to say for that game. But Broncos get it done in a major way. Okay, let's move on to the London game here. Last London game of the year. I know everybody's going to miss it. I really won't. 8:30 a.m. wake up for those games. Not fantastic, but they're fun. They're fun in itself. Let's talk about it. Patriots 16, Jags 32 is your final score there as you have some of the highlights on the screen. Patriots get off to a hot start here. This is Michael Hasty making some moves and taking it in for the touchdown. That puts them up 7-0 early. They actually went up 10-0 in this game. Jacksonville comes storming all the way back just to take a commanding lead in this one. I mean, starting 10-0, explosive play after explosive play from Jacksonville. As you can see there on the screen, punt being taken back for a touchdown, which has not happened very many times this year. That's just been kind of the story of the Patriots season so far. It's not been pretty for them as we have our stat sheet shown up there. Look at Drake May, though, the young rookie quarterback. So far through 3 games, he's got 5 touchdowns and 2 interceptions on the season. This game, no picks, 2 touchdowns, 276 yards as well. He's playing fantastic. Sadly, the Patriots' record is not reflecting that. They have lost 6 straight games. They moved to 1-6. Young head coach Gerard Mayo definitely has some things to still figure out, but if I were to describe the New England Patriots to you, it'd be rebuilding, and I think that's very clear. Rookie head coach, rookie quarterback. Not a lot of great going on over there. It has not been pretty. They're averaging 14 points per game on the season right now. Believe that's bottom 3 in the NFL. Not going to cut it. It's not been pretty over there at all. Again, they had a 10-0 lead in this game, and the Jacksonville came right back, just blew it out of the water, took it over. It's been the story of the Patriots season. Jaguars put up 32 points, one of their higher totals of the season for sure. They've won 2 out of their last 3 after starting 0-4. Granted, those losses, 0-4 to start the season, like I said, were to the Dolphins, Browns, Bills, and Texans. 3 of those 4 teams, Dolphins at the time with Tua, very competent. The Browns, maybe not so much. We'll talk about them hopefully here in a little bit. So we'll see. The Jaguars, again, moved to 2-5. They're at home against Green Bay next week in a very, very tough game. I'm not a believer in this team. I thought before the season they would have more wins than losses. Right now, it's absolutely not looking that way. And a few big storylines here. Jaguars defense, 30th in the league right now in points per game, averaging over 27 points a game. Hard to win a football game when you're giving up 27 points. And I'm sure my dude in the studio right here, Robert G, helping this show run, can agree with that. Isn't that right, Robert G? Yeah, he says, yeah. 27 points per game, not looking good. Trevor Lawrence, I was on one of our TSTV shows here a few weeks ago. He's getting paid $275 million, over 5 years. He's one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. And to start the year, he was, in a nice word, abysmal. Recently, he's picked it up. On the season, he's got 9 touchdowns and 3 picks. Not terrible. Yet the Jags have only won 2 games. Trevor Lawrence has to be playing better. He has weapons around him. He has Christian Kirk. He has Travis Etienne. He has Tank Bigsby, who I'm about to talk about here in a second. The Jaguars are not meeting expectations whatsoever. Again, great win for them here. It's New England. Not saying much there, but 32-16, Jags get it done real quick. Travis Etienne, going into his final season with the Jags, free agent next year, 230 yards rushing on the season, 2 touchdowns. And yet he's not the one up on the screen in the stat sheet. It is indeed Tank Bigsby, the second year back, former 3rd-round pick, has 415 yards rushing on the season and 4 touchdowns. That's probably the main storyline so far outside of the bad defensive struggles for the Jags. What is happening to Travis Etienne? He's been banged up a little bit, I understand. It looks like Tank Bigsby is the guy moving forward. He's getting more touches. He's getting more opportunities. Tank Bigsby is showing to be the number 1 back in Jacksonville. Big story to follow there. Travis Etienne throughout the season, fantasy managers, myself included, have been upset with his performances, upset with how he's been used in Jacksonville. We'll have to see where they go with him moving forward and throughout the season. That's the big story following the Jags. Again, at home against Green Bay next week. We'll see. Green Bay looks good. All right. Moving on to the noon slate from this past weekend. Got to break it down. One of the best games of the weekend, at least until the scoreboard showed up. Seahawks traveling into Atlanta to take on the Falcons. Like you can see there, Kenneth Walker, definitely not necessarily the secret weapon of the Seahawks this year, but I would say the MVP of them so far, has been playing fantastic all season long. He's got 7 TDs in 5 games played. The Seahawks just kind of commanded this game. They lost the previous 3 games to the Lions, Giants, and 49ers. They showed up big here in a big way. As you can see, there's one of the 3 turnovers the Falcons had in this game. That one going for a touchdown. That was really all she wrote. Score graphic coming up now. 34-14, Seahawks take it on the road in a big NFC battle. Like I mentioned, Seahawks started the season 3-0, fall to 3-3. They were absolutely in need of a bounce-back win, and they got it here in Atlanta, forcing 3 turnovers, like I said. During those 3 games, that 3-game losing streak to the Lions, Giants, and 49ers, decent competition. We'll talk about the Giants here later. Not decent competition. They give up 35 points per game during that span. I know the new head coach, former DC of the Ravens, was not happy with that performance whatsoever. As they showed up here in Atlanta, he was definitely happier with that one, only giving up 14, causing those 3 turnovers like I mentioned. If we're looking at the screen here, Geno Smith, 2 touchdowns. Kenneth Walker, 2 total touchdowns. DK Metcalf had a touchdown. He got injured in this game. He's questionable moving forward for Sunday's game. That will be interesting. They play the Bills. We'll talk about that game at the end of the show. Will be interesting to see. Falcons, what happened? They've had some very good wins this year. They beat the Bucs. Should have beaten the Chiefs, in my opinion. Kirk Cousins is playing fantastic. They got weapons in Drake London, Bijan Robinson, defensive weapons as well. They had more yards, time of possession, and first downs in this game, and they lost by 20 points. I think that goes to show that turnovers matter a lot, not only in the NFL, but in football in general. If you're turning over the ball 3 times in a game, very hard to win, except the Packers did it, and we'll talk about that here soon. I expect the Falcons to bounce back. We'll see. We're talking about that game here towards the end of the show as well. They have an NFC South battle coming up at home against the they are playing the Buccaneers. I believe it's at the Bucs, at the Buccaneers next week, this Sunday. That should be a good one. Again, both these teams move to 4-3. Let's move on to the next game. That'll be a good NFC South battle, by the way. That'll be really good. All right. This one is one for the record books. Lions moved to 5-1. They went into Minnesota to take on the undefeated 5-0 Vikings. They are now 5-1 as well. As you can see on the screen, Vikings got off to a hot start there. Aaron Jones finding the left gap, going all the way, doing a little Lambo leap. No, I can't say that in division rival. Jahmyr Gibbs was the big story of this game. David Montgomery got a little shaken up, got out. Gibbs with the nice juke there, taking it in for the score. This opened the floodgates for Detroit. As you can see there, 21-10 on your screen. Here's Sam Darnold going deep. We're going to talk about him here in a sec. He finds Justin Jefferson. But in the end, it's Bates, Jake Bates for the 44-yarder to win it for Detroit. Last year, Detroit went into Minnesota, and they won their division, the NFC North, for the first time in a long time, also at that stadium. Very fitting they come back the next year in a big way and win it on a last-second field goal as well. Minnesota, you got a little kryptonite on your hands, and that is the Detroit Lions. Jared Goff, by the way, on the season, 1,610 yards, 10 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He's playing fantastic ball. He's got more touchdowns than I believe incompletions over the past 3 or 4 games. Saw that somewhere. I think maybe a TSTV member told me about that one. But as you see, stat sheet there, Goff played fantastic, 22-25, 2 touchdowns. Jahmyr Gibbs, 2 touchdowns as well. Amon-Ra St. Brown doing his thing, one of my favorite players in the league, 112 and a tutty. Darnold, you can see it on the screen, 259, a touchdown and a pick. You might be saying, Swank, that's not that bad. Wasn't good enough. Darnold, over his last 2 games, has 1 touchdown and 2 picks. That's not going to cut it, especially with this Viking team being as talented as they are. Justin Jefferson, Aaron Jones, other weapons alongside him as well. TJ Hawkinson coming back hopefully soon for them. They need him. He is the story of the Viking season, in my opinion. We're going to talk about him here a little bit more later. I think the biggest question going into this game, and really for the rest of the season, is what does the loss of Aiden Hutchinson mean for the Lions? We'll talk about it later as well, but the Lions still had 4 sacks on Sam Darnold and the Vikings in this game. Josh Pascal stepping in for that injured Aiden Hutchinson, who's most likely out for the season. DJ Reader, the former Texan, getting a sack as well. These guys are going to have to step up, and in this game they did. They gave it 29, but 4 sacks is still really good without one of the best defensive players in the NFL. Lions get it done again, 31-29. Next at home for the Lions is the Titans. I expect them to move to 6-1. The Vikings' next game is tonight, Thursday night, against the Rams. Thursday Night Football. We'll see how that one goes. Again, the Vikings taking their first loss of the year. Lions look fantastic. They're 5-1. Right now, they're probably my NFC favorites making out of the NFC. We'll have to see. They take it 31-29. All righty. Moving on to a game I am not opinionated about, but we'll have some strong remarks to make. We're going to the Eagles versus the Giants. Saquon Barkley making his return back to New York. As you can see on the screen, Jalen Hurts going deep here. I believe it's A.J. Brown on the side. That's too easy. That's just too easy. Here comes Daniel Jones out back in the pocket. Let's see what happens here. Oh, there we go. He's got a guy on the sideline, making a man miss, making some moves. That's really all she wrote for the Giants in the day. They scored 3 points total. Final score of this one is 28-3. There's Saquon Barkley doing what he does best. Giants said, you know what? I don't want to pay you, Saquon. Go find the market. He finds the market with an in-division rival. And there it is. Eagles 23, Giants 3. Barkley, 176 rush yards and a touchdown in this major revenge game. The Eagles on the season, they've struggled here and there, but they're 4-2. They moved to 4-2 now. Top 10 in yards per rush, rushes per game, rush yards per game, rush touchdowns per game. Not only is that a testament to Saquon Barkley, that's a testament to the Eagles, knowing what they do best is running the ball. And they've stuck with that, as you can see with all the top 10s in those categories. The Eagles also in this game, 8 sacks. 8 sacks in this game. Daniel Jones definitely woke up feeling sore, except he didn't even play the whole game. Drew Lock came in. We'll talk about that here literally in like 30 seconds or so. Eagles domination. They were only 2.5-point favorites. If you're a betting person out there on the road in New York, I took that in a heartbeat. Not quite sure why it was that close. The Giants moved to 2-5. Eagles looking great. Have a tough game in Cincinnati next week. Giants moved to 2-5 on the season. The Giants are 0-4 at home this year. Just rattling off some stats for you and whatnot. They got Brian Burns for a second-round pick and a fifth-round pick this year, and they decided to let Saquon Barkley walk. I think they felt that decision in a very bad way this past weekend. Brian Daboll, him and Joe Shine up there in the front office made this decision, said if we don't want to pay the man, looks like you should have paid the man respectfully. Daniel Jones, again, was pulled for Drew Lock in this game. Daniel Jones hasn't thrown a touchdown at home in, does anybody want to take a guess? Robert Gonsolin here in the studio. How many days has it been since Daniel Jones threw a touchdown at home? It's a big number. He's guessing.
35, over 35.
35 days?
Yeah.
35, over 35.
You go on the road a little
Yeah, so it's been over 35 days since Daniel Jones threw a touchdown in New York at his stadium, Central New York. It has been 658 days, Robert Gonsolin, since Daniel Jones threw a touchdown at home.
Wow.
Yeah, that's correct. New Year's Day 2023. It's the last time Daniel Jones threw a touchdown at home. How bad is that? That's a testament to how bad Daniel Jones has been. What a decision they made paying him that much money. Oh, man. They're scoring 30th best in the NFL right now, 14.1 points per game. They put up 3 this past weekend. It's been a rough season for the Giants. It's been a tough few years here for the Giants. They're not making the right moves, and that it's been seen on the football field. 119 total yards of offense in this game for the New York Giants. Next game, they're away at the Steelers, and I believe that's Monday Night Football. Don't think that one's going to be too pretty. Not going to be pretty. Again, they moved to 2-5. They are disappointing greatly this year. I'm sorry, New York fans. You deserve better. Jets fans as well in New York. You deserve better too. That's coming up. All right, next game. Texans-Packers. Oh, man. Here we go. Texans 22, Packers 24. As you see, Kraft getting in the end zone there. Nice diving catch. Went through the hands of the safety, Bullock. They went up early. Here comes Joe Mixon, who's having a heck of a season, finding the left corner of the end zone there for the rushing touchdown. Here comes Jordan Love, yet again responding, though. Finding him in the corner. Texans secondary had some troubles with Love, even though he picked him off 3 times on the day. Josh Jacobs, I got a fun stat coming up for that little catch, and it's really all she wrote there. McManus kicks the game winner as time expires. Man, oh man, we got a lot to break down here. I guess I mentioned I've been a Texans fan. I'm keeping biases aside in this show. That's not what we're going to do here. Texans 22, Packers 24. Texans moved to 5-2. Their 3-game win streak is snapped. They are now 1-2 versus the NFC North on the season. NFC North has been fantastic. We have a segment on that here soon. Stroud, as you can see on the screen, 10-21, 86 passing yards. His lowest, not only of the season, of his entire career. His offensive line looked god-awful in pass protection. There's been a lot of questions about the offensive line this year throughout the season for the Texans. That needs to be addressed for them in a big way. Stroud had no time in the pocket, threw for 86 yards, lowest of his season and of his career. Tank Dell held without a catch, yet Joe Mixon continues to shine with 115 and 2 touchdowns. He has been the absolute dog of this team all season long. He's been trustable. He looks explosive. Great signing for the Texans this year. Fortunately, not enough to get it done. They're at home next versus the Colts in a big AFC South game. We have the prediction for that at the end of the show. Packers moved to 5-2. 3-game win streak for them after battling some injuries there. Malik Willis came in for them and actually got the job done. Jordan Love came back last week, committed 3 turnovers, 3 interceptions. Earlier in the show, I said, hard to win a game with 3 turnovers. Jordan Love said, not so fast. I can win a game with 3 turnovers. He gets it done, putting up 24 points, yet gets picked off 3 times. Josh Jacobs, fun stat there. First receiving touchdown ever on his 211th catch. You heard that right? 211th catch. Longest streak in NFL history with that many receptions without a touchdown. He finally breaks that. Of course, it's against Houston, but that's okay. NFC North is crazy right now. It is absolutely nuts. They're not even first, and they're 5-2. We'll talk about them here shortly. Like I mentioned, McManus kicking that game-winning field goal. He was out for a year battling some legal issues. First game with the Packers, hits the game winner. What a story there. And their next game, like I mentioned earlier, is at the Jacksonville Jaguars. I expect them to probably win that game, move to 6-2, stay in the NFC North top standings. That is it for that game. We move on. We're out of the noon slate now. We're going over to Kansas City, or excuse me, San Francisco. Patrick Mahomes in this game did not play great whatsoever, but Kareem Hunt, who has returned, I know this is not 2021, Kareem Hunt on the Chiefs, he's back, and his presence was again felt. I mean, the Niners looked sloppy. They were injured like crazy. Get a touchdown there from Brock Purdy. No passing touchdowns in this game whatsoever. Here's Mahomes working some magic on the sideline. Oh, he's going to go out of bounds? Nope. Keeps it, runs down to the 1-yard line. Here in a second, the 4-yard line. They punch it in. 28-12. Chiefs got way ahead of the Niners. Niners just couldn't catch up. 28-18 is your final score here. And like I mentioned, looking at the stat sheet, Mahomes 2 picks, no touchdowns throwing. Purdy 2 touchdowns, 3 picks, and both those touchdowns were rushing. 5 interceptions between Brock Purdy and Patrick Mahomes, 0 passing touchdowns. I wonder what that betting on was like. I haven't seen something like that in a long time. That's incredible. Chiefs moved to 6-0. Last unbeaten team in the NFL as the Vikings lost this past week. They were 8 of 14 on third down in this game. That's been the main story for the Chiefs all season long. That was the story in this game. 49ers couldn't get off the field. Chiefs are 4th overall in the NFL on third down conversions this year. They're fantastic at it. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes continue to execute, even with Mahomes not playing so great. Mahomes, again, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He has more interceptions on the season than he does touchdowns. And he's second in MVP odds. That graphic will be coming up here in a bit. 5th best in the NFL with only 17.2 points per game given up. Their defense has been fantastic. They brought back Chris Jones for a reason. Defense has been playing super well all season long, keeping the Chiefs defense getting the Chiefs defense off the field fast, keeping Mahomes on the field, letting him extend drive. Mahomes doing his thing there. I saw this debate earlier on ESPN. Who is the better team right now, Ravens, Chiefs? And while the Ravens have been explosive, talking about them here in a sec, how could you possibly say that the Ravens are playing better football than the Chiefs? I understand. The Ravens have been playing fantastic. They've won 5 straight. The Chiefs remain undefeated, 6-0, with an unbelievable amount of injuries on that team. Mahomes is not even playing good. It's a classic masterclass by Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs. Travis Kelce having one of his worst seasons statistically. They moved to 6-0. It's unbelievable. Defense playing great. 49ers moved to 3-4. Again, Purdy, three interceptions in this game, 2 rushing touchdowns. Deebo Samuel got sick during this game. He left early. George Kittle got dinged up. Brandon Ayuk is out for the season. Tore, I believe, is MCL and ACL. Christian McCaffrey hasn't played in the game all year. The 49ers are 3-4, like I mentioned. They're in panic mode. Their next game here is at home against the Cowboys. And the Cowboys, I believe, are favored. Cowboys are also 3-0 on the road. That is going to be quite a game here for the 49ers and the Cowboys both. Both need to get on track. The Niners need to get healthy. They keep getting injured. It's been a disaster. They were 2 for 11 on third down in this game compared to the Chiefs, 8 and 14. Oh, man. The Niners are quite a mess right now. Quite a mess, and a lot of it has been out of their control. Very, very injured. 28-18 is your final there. Again, Chiefs remain undefeated. All right, we got 2 more to break down on this block before we wrap it up. Oh, boy. The New York Jets. The New York Jets went into Pittsburgh. Devontae Adams, newly acquired. There's Breece Hall finding the end zone for the first score of the game. Jets look like, hey, now, we got a shot here. Let's do it on the road. Let's get a win. Let's turn it around. Tyler Conklin right there. Garrett Wilson finding the 2-point conversion. They went up 15-6. That was the last points they scored. The final from this one would be 15-37. I mean, another missed field goal from the Jets. Wait, there's the doink. Another missed field goal for the Jets. They cannot catch a break given their field goals this year. Najee Harris doing a little celebration to cap off the win. Gets in the stands. Everybody's jumping in the stands recently. Like I mentioned, Jets 15, Steelers 37. Let's break this down here for the Jets. Not been pretty. You can see it on the stat sheet. Rodgers 2 picks. Garrett Wilson only 61 receiving yards. Excuse me. They were the favorite to win the AFC East before the season. They now moved to 2-5. That was their 4th straight loss. They started 2-1 again. They moved to 2-5. Devontae Adams in his debut, 3 receptions for 30 yards. They had 15 total rushing attempts in this game. Hard to win a game with 15 total rush attempts. At least hard to keep the offense on the field with only 15 rush attempts if you're not completing a lot of passes. Second half drive chart. This is what you really want to pay attention to. Here we go. Punt, interception, missed field goal, downs, end of game. That's their drive chart in the second half. That explains the game perfectly. That's why you see 37-15 up there. Next game at New England, we're going to talk about the Jets here in a little bit more, going into the trade, going into their struggles. Not been pretty. They moved to 2-5. Steelers, on the other hand, moved to 5-2. Mike Tomlin continues to find ways to get the Steelers team to 500 or even better. Russell Wilson gets his first start as a Steeler. He plays fantastic. 3 total touchdowns, no interceptions. Decided to bench Justin Fields there. And, man, what a decision that was. Seems at the moment to be paying off. We'll see how that goes the rest of the season. They scored 31 unanswered points. You heard the Jets drive chart. Again, 31 unanswered. Unbelievable there by Russell Wilson. They trailed 15-6, scored 31 straight. Wilson in his first start was fantastic. Their second half drive chart looked like this. Field goal, touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. Steelers looked fantastic on Sunday Night Football. I think a lot of people were in on the Jets. The Adams trade didn't quite do it. All right. Steelers defense, by the way, second best in the NFL with 14.4 points per game. George Pickens gets a touchdown as well. He's on the board. Steelers moved to 5-2. Jets 2-5. Last game we'll discuss here before taking a quick break. The Baltimore Ravens going in to face the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Buccaneers got off to a quick start there. Mike Evans, who's playing through a hamstring injury, finds the end zone there. They went up 10-0 to start the game. Seems a lot of teams did that last week. Mark Andrews finds the end zone. I'm sure his fantasy managers are happy with that. He had a very bad first 5 weeks of the season. I mean, here's Hill finding the end zone on a little dump pass. From then on, Lamar Jackson caught fire. The Ravens offense caught fire. Buccaneers couldn't stop Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry. It's been the story all season long for defenses. There's Rashad Bateman finding the end zone as well, doing a little dance, celebrating, going up big. Lamar Jackson, yet again, finding Derrick Henry in the flat. It's really all she wrote there. Ravens 41, Bucks 31. Bucks kept it kind of relatively close there at the end. Mayfield, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. Rashad White had a good game. Otten had 100 yards, but let's stick here with the Ravens. This is their 5th straight win. They beat the Cowboys, the Bills, the Bengals, the Commanders, and the Bucks. All 5 of those teams I would consider top of the league, at least top 500 in the league. Bengals are 3-4. I understand that. They're looking better than ever, though, as they go to place the Eagles. I believe they're 3-4. Could be wrong on that. But unbelievable resume the Ravens have had in these past 5 games. It's been 5 straight, like I mentioned. Lamar Jackson in this game, 5 passing touchdowns. Truly unbelievable. He's the leading MVP candidate for a reason. He's looking better than ever. 17 total touchdowns on the season to go along with his only 2 picks. This game, 244 rushing yards for the Baltimore Ravens, 8.1 yards per carry. That's the stat right there for me that jumps off the screen. 8.1. Unbelievable. Scored points on 6 consecutive drives during this game. Ravens look more dangerous than ever. They go to Cleveland to face the Deshaun Watson-less Browns in the Sunday slate. Buccaneers moved to 4-3 on the season, but it was even uglier than that. Chris Godwin and Mike Evans both get injured. Chris Godwin out for a season. Mike Evans out for an extended period of time here. That was the main story from this game, even though they lost as well. They're giving up 386 yards per game, second worst in the NFL. Hard to win a game giving up that many yards. Couldn't stop much of anything. Ravens 10 points off turnovers. Turnovers yet again coming up big for a game here. Next game at home against the Falcons. Be interesting to see how that now yet unexperienced and young wide receiver core for the Bucs does. Jalen McMillan, Sterling Shepard. We'll see how they do. Unfortunate turn for the Bucs. Got a big game against the Falcons. They moved to 4-3. Ravens move to 4-2. That is our big recap of Week 7 with all the main storylines and statistics. Appreciate all you guys tuning in live and listening in. That's going to wrap it up here for our first block. We got some main storylines coming up here on Swank Takes. Welcome back in here to Swank Takes. Again, shout out to everybody helping make this show possible. Robert Gonsolin, Joe Duffy especially, being my main producer. TJ Krolowitz back there. Wouldn't be possible without them. Saw this vision a month ago, said, hey, let's go for it. Been a lot of prep. It's been fantastic here talking with all of you. I appreciate their help more than anything. Okay. We talked about a lot in that past block. A lot of good statistics, a lot of good scores, a lot of good teams improving in the NFL. Let's get into some of the main storylines here. I had to take a quick water break. Again, appreciate you all being here. Let's start with the Jets. This one's called Jets Mets, because it should be. New York football has just been... Abysmal was a word I used earlier. Abysmal is a word I'm going to use yet again here. Again, they're 2-5. They are third in the AFC East. As you can see on your screen, Davante Adams recently being traded from the Las Vegas Raiders there to the New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers, of course, is that quarterback. Aaron Rodgers might also be the GM. Who really knows? He gets his former pal Davante Adams onto the Jets. Only gave up, what is that? Was it a second-round pick? Third-round pick? Third-round pick that could turn into a second is what it is. Again, the Jets are third in the AFC East. My buddy Connor Burns, I don't know if he's listening out there, that was his Super Bowl pick before the season started. Not to make it, to win it. They're 2-5 on the season. Again, that trade, as you can see on the screen, Davante Adams, that was supposed to be their blockbuster move. Hey, this offense is going to take a step forward. Davante Adams had 30 yards against the Pittsburgh Steelers. That won't cut it. I don't care if it's his first game. Davante Adams in this league is a top 10 wide receiver. He needs more receptions. He needs more targets. He needs more yards for this offense to truly succeed. Along with that, the rushing attack, like I mentioned earlier, they're not running the ball enough. Breece Hall is a top 5 back in this league. I said that. Top 5, talent-wise. He's young. He's explosive. Need to get him the ball more. Here we go on the screen. Jets offense. You can see it clear as day. Points per game. 24th in the NFL. 18.3 points per game. That won't cut it. That just won't cut it. Total yards per game, they're 23rd at 307. Rush yards per game, 31st in the NFL. That's where Breece Hall comes in. Not getting it done. 82.4 yards per game. Not going to cut it, especially with a guy like Breece Hall in the backfield. Touchdowns per game, 21st in the NFL. All lower than 20th in the NFL for all those statistical categories on offense. Won't do it. This team is way too talented. Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. Garrett Wilson. Devontae Adams. Breece Hall. Conklin. Solid tight end. On the end there. They're not getting it done. And I think there's a reason for that. Let's dive into it. Head coach Jeff Ulbrich is now their new guy. Robert Saleh got fired after 5 games after a rough start. Personally, want my opinion on it. Again, this is Swank's Takes. Don't agree with the decision. You're 5 weeks into your season. Saleh's been there for 3 years, I believe. Why are you firing a guy after 5 weeks? Not necessarily his fault. Rodgers wasn't playing fantastic. Again, maybe missing another weapon at wide receiver. They fired him 5 games in. I don't agree with it. Jeff Ulbrich, their head coach, 0-2 so far. 17 points per game scored in those 2 games. How many points given up? 30 points per game given up in those 2 games. He's 0-2 as the head coach of the Jets. Offensive coordinator Todd Downing. Didn't know much about him, in all honesty, until doing some research. He spent the 22-23 season with the Titans as their OC. Listen to these ranks. 30th in overall offense with the Titans that year. 28th in points per game scored that year with the Titans. That is your new Jets offensive coordinator, ladies and gentlemen. Nathaniel Hackett wasn't getting it done. Ulbrich says, you know what? Come on down. Come on down, Todd Downing. Not quite sure the decision there. The numbers kind of speak for themselves. The numbers were shown. Again, Pittsburgh's defense is very good. 2 games, 17 points per game scored. Not going to cut it. Not going to cut it. Defense, though, top 12th in points per game and yards per game so far. Not quite living up to expectation, but they're not the reason. That's not the reason the Jets are losing games, per se. Again, they just had 37 dropped on them. Again, Jets are struggling on all assets of their team. Main takeaway from this in the Jets overall, too much movement and media noise. I think it's a real thing. Some people don't like to believe Rodgers in the media is causing controversy within the locker room. I think there's a chance. Aaron Rodgers has been on a bunch of shows. Again, he had the Achilles tear. He healed absurdly fast from that, questioning medical advice and all these different things. Comes into the season healthy as ever. You get Devontae Adams. The expectations for this team was sky high. They're not even close to meeting those yet. Again, 2-5 on the season. Not running the ball enough. Plain and simple. Ulbrich has never been a head coach. Their OC was not very good in Tennessee. Just question marks all around for the New York Jets. Let's see what they can do moving forward. I don't have a lot of faith in them. Do not have a lot of faith. That's why it's called Jets Mess on the screen. All right. That's it for the Jets. Enough talk of the Jets for the show. All right. Bring on the Kansas City Chiefs. Here we go, Joe. Let's do it. Oh, man. The Chiefs. Who loves them? Who can anybody stop the Chiefs? That's the name of the segment here. My question, or my answer to that is, I don't really think anybody can. 6-0 record. Most likely we move to 7-0 after playing the Las Vegas Raiders this coming week. They're going to move to 7-0. Let's be real. It's the NFL. Anything can happen. But playing the Raiders, come on. Let's talk about their injuries. Joe just put it up on the screen for us. Isaiah Pacheco, been out since week 3 with a fibula injury. Probably a top 12 back in the NFL. Rashee Rice, out for season, torn LCL. Best wide receiver on the Chiefs. CB Jalen Watson, one of their best corners, best defensive players. Fractured ankle. Out TBD. Multiple weeks. Hollywood Brown, not even going to see the field this year. Got him over the offseason. Patrick Mahomes, also, like I mentioned earlier, more picks than touchdowns on the season. He's missing his wide receiver 1. He's missing his running back 1. His tight end 1 has not been playing up to expectation. It's Hollywood Brown, wide receiver 2 before the season. Not even going to see the field. And yet the Kansas City Chiefs are 6-0. Let's look at some of their stats. Again, they're going to probably move to 7-0 here soon. 13th in the NFL with 24.3 points per game scored. Not bad at all. 10th with 350 yards per game being scored. That's fantastic. What did you say over there, Robbie G? McCole Hardman beast. McCole Hardman is a beast. He's good. He's fine. McCole Hardman's good. What about Worthy? What about Worthy? Come on now. Yeah, there you go. He's throwing up the X. Xavier Worthy doing his thing over there, former Longhorn for the Chiefs. Again, 10th and 13th in NFL offensive statistics. Defense is playing fantastic, though. That's honestly the main point of their season. 5th in the NFL, 17.2 yards per game allowed. Chris Jones, that defense getting it done. The offense still getting it done. regardless of those injuries on the screen. That is the storyline of the season with the Chiefs. Mahomes isn't even playing well. I've mentioned it several times. Former MVP of this league, two-time Super Bowl champion, believe, back-to-back. Maybe even 3. I don't even know at this point. It's been a lot. Not even playing his best ball. The Chiefs are 6-0. They look like juggernauts. All right. Mahomes stats. 16th in the NFL in passing yards. 6 touchdowns, which is tied 21st on the year. 8 interceptions on the season for Patrick Mahomes. Very uncharacteristic of him. 61.2 QBR, that ranks 9th. He's not top 5 in any category. He's barely top 10 in any category. Yet, again, the Chiefs are 6-0. He's second in MVP odds. Very end of the show, we're going to touch on that. Josh Allen is behind him. Big debate here. Josh Allen is 12th in yards, 5th in touchdowns, tied first for interceptions thrown. He's thrown 0 on the season. He's first in QBR. Allen having a great season, yet trails him in MVP odds. Main takeaway from this segment right here. As long as Andy Reid is coaching on that sideline and Patrick Mahomes is playing, regardless of his stats in any game, they look unstoppable. Not even the Ravens, in my opinion, can stop them. The Lions, not even sure. Even with these injuries, they look unstoppable. We'll see. Week 11 is maybe the game I see them first losing at Buffalo. Up until then, I expect them to keep winning. And we'll see, regardless of all the noise, the injuries, and the poor play overall of Patrick Mahomes. Okay. Speaking of Patrick Mahomes, we've had quarterback madness all across the NFL. Let's get into it. Raiders, Panthers, Steelers, Giants, Patriots have all optionally put in a new quarterback for this year. The Browns, Dolphins, Colts, Packers, Saints, and Titans all have had quarterback injuries as well. All of these teams have had more than one quarterback touch the field, and it has been an unbelievable season for quarterbacks. More than a third of the teams in the NFL have had a new quarterback touch their field. Unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Two guys I really want to touch on here. Tua Tagovailoa had a gruesome concussion injury a few weeks ago. This is not his first concussion. I don't even believe it's his second concussion. It's his third. He now returns, I believe, this week, week 8, to play. Asked about wearing a Guardian helmet. Guardian helmet, if you're unaware, goes on top of the normal helmet. Just adds some protection. Doesn't look great, but supposedly feels great. A bunch of players with concussion history have been using them. Asked in his press conference, will he be using a Guardian helmet, Guardian cap? He says, nope, I'm good. Personal choice. I guess he believes in his helmet. We'll have to see. I really hope he's healthy. I hope to God he's healthy. And moving forward, I hope he stays healthy. It's better for the league when he is healthy and for his career. Very, very scary injury there. Hope he stays healthy. Hope he plays well this week. But again, the quarterback turnover and turmoil this season for the NFL has been just ridiculous. Let's talk Will Levis here real quick. Quarterback of the Tennessee Titans in his second year with them. Let's go over his stats. 699 yards, 31st in the NFL. I'm not going to cut it whatsoever. 5 touchdowns, 25th in the NFL. Again, not going to cut it. 7 interceptions, one of the worst in the NFL. 27.5 QBR. That's 30th in the NFL. The Titans have a major issue here. Major issue. They started Mason Rudolph at quarterback. Will Levis got a little dinged up, and he didn't do too much better either. So, all this to say, again, we covered Will Levis with the Titans. We've talked about Tua. The Raiders with Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell getting hurt. A bunch of other teams having a lot of quarterback, not only controversy, but issues regarding injury. I expect the Raiders, Panthers, Giants, Dolphins, and Browns, that's 5 teams, to all be looking at quarterbacks high in this year's draft. That could be Quinn Ewers. That could be Shadur Sanders. That could be other names that will be entering the NFL draft. I expect those 5 teams to be looking for quarterbacks atop of the draft. It's been a crazy year with the quarterbacks. I expect it to continue to be crazy. Hope all those guys get healthy, Tua especially. That's it for that. All right. Let's talk NFC North here real quick. Then we'll go into my power rankings and wrap it up for this segment, or this block per se. NFC North has been unbelievable this year. Probably the best division in football, if I had to say so. Let's break it down. Lions are 5-1. They lead the division. They're 1-0 in division as well. Main question for them moving forward, how big of an effect does the Aiden Hutchinson injury have on them? They end the season with at home against the Packers. At home against the Bears. At home against the Packers. At home against the Bills, a 3-game home stretch. At Bears, at 49ers, Vikings at home. That's an unbelievable stretch. That worries me. How big of an effect will the Aiden Hutchinson injury have on the Lions? That is my biggest question for them regarding the NFC North. They're on top of it right now. They look fantastic. They're my favorite to win the NFC North. They're my favorite to win the NFC. We'll see how well they keep playing. I expect fantastic things from them. The Vikings, again, they moved to 5-1. They're 1-1 in the division. My biggest question for them, Sam Darnold, 1 touchdown and 2 picks in his last 2 games. Can he continue his success that he found earlier in the season? If the answer is yes, they might be able to take it. If the answer is no, they might fall to the very bottom. Look how close that is. 5-1, 5-1, 5-2, 4-2. It's the best division in football. I expect it to be the best division all season long. Again, major question there is Sam Darnold. They end the season at Seahawks, against the Packers at home, and at the Lions. Tough stretch. All these teams here in the NFC North have a tough stretch. The end of the year, it's going to be cinema. Got to stay tuned into the NFC North. Packers, 5-2. 5-2 in their third in the NFC North. Unbelievable. 0-1 in the division. My biggest question for them, can Jordan Love limit the interceptions and turnovers? If the answer is yes for that, I think they can win the division. Why wouldn't they? They're a half game back. They're 5-2, and yet they're third. Can Jordan Love limit the interceptions? Had 3 this past weekend. It's been his story of his career. Outside of his success, his detriment has been interceptions and turnovers. Can he cut that out in his second full season as a Packers starting quarterback? Just got paid a bunch of money. Gotta stop the picks. If he can do that, the Packers have a chance to win it. At the end of the season, listen to this one. At Lions, at Seahawks, at home against the Saints, at Vikings, at home against the Bears. That's unbelievable. That is truly unbelievable. All 5 of those teams can compete, 4 of them especially, Saints not so much. Tough way to end the season. Jordan Love got to limit the picks, and they can do it. All right, final team here. The Chicago Bears. Have not mentioned them on this show yet. Shout out Tommy Yosh. Shout out Jason Conander. Shout out Connor Burns. Shout out all my buddies. Major Bears fans there. Caleb Williams doing his thing. They're 0-0 in the division. Have yet to play a division game, and it's week 8. Pretty unbelievable. Yet they're 4-2. My biggest question for this team, can they win on the road / can they compete with the big dogs? Bears don't have a win yet on the road this season. Every single win, all 4 of them, have been at their home. They go to the Commanders this weekend. That's going to be a tough one. Very tough game. J.D. Daniels may not play. Regardless, can they win on the road? Can the young quarterback, Caleb Williams, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, DeAndre Swift, can they get it done on the road? Can they beat a big-time opponent? They can only play who they can play. I understand that. That's their schedule. Have yet to take down a top even 10, 15 team. We'll have to see it. This weekend, will we see it? I don't know. J.D. Daniels might not play. Regardless, I need to see them take down a big team. I need to see them win on the road, potentially this weekend. When that happens, if that happens, I'll believe in this team even more than I do. Bears are 4-2. They look fantastic. This season, Lions, Seahawks, at Packers. Tough end there. Again, pay attention to this division. It's been fantastic to watch. It will continue to be fantastic to watch. Got to keep your eyeballs on this one. Best division in football. Very happy I got to talk that down. Wow. I expect the Lions to win it, though. Okay. Last thing I got to talk about here. I believe it's my power rankings. Is that right, Joe? I think it's my power rankings. Did I even write it down? I'm not even writing it down because it's just going to show up on your screen. Okay. Power rankings, then we're going to get into the fast block of the show. Robbie G. Adios, brother. I have to have him go. Thank you for helping out, man. All right. Let's get into it. Top 5 teams. Here's Swank's Tanks for you. Coming up right at you. So glad to be able to be here yet again. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Let's get into it. Coming in number 5, my top 5 teams, Swank Tanks. I'm not going to reveal them one by one. I'll just throw them up there for you. I don't need to reveal them. I want you guys to see them. I want you to analyze them with me. Texans coming in at number 5. They've moved to 5-2 in the season. Fell to Green Bay. C.J. Stroud has been good, not great this year. They were down Nico Collins. Joe Mixon was out for a little while. Defensively, have had a bunch of injuries. I expect the Texans not only to come back healthier here very soon, but to thrive throughout the season. They're too talented. Their division is not good. I expect them to continue to do big things. They're 5-2. They're still playing well. Tough loss at Green Bay. They're my 5th best team. The Ravens actually coming in at 4. You're saying, Swank, that might be too low. Not too low for me. They look fantastic. Don't get me wrong. But in those first 2 games, their vulnerabilities were shown greatly. They were very much shown. They're very powerful. Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson together, going to be almost impossible to stop moving forward. We'll have to see how they keep playing. They're dangerous. They're my fourth favorite team and best team in the NFL at the moment. Number 3, got to put respect on the Vikings. 5-0 to start the year. Tough loss against Detroit, who I think is potentially the best team in the NFL. Definitely best team in the NFC. They're on number 3. If Sam Darnold, again, biggest question for them, can he continue to play well? If the answer is yes, I expect them to stay in the top 5 all season long. Very, very talented team over there. They're my third favorite team on the season at the moment. Swank's takes here. Number 2, I got the Lions. And the only reason I don't have them at number 1 is because the Chiefs remain undefeated. Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, fantastic. I think they're the second most prolific offense in the NFL, if not the most prolific. They're fantastic. Aiden Hutchinson going out, like we talked about, could be huge for this team. They had some guys step up. The Lions all around are too talented. Brian Branch on defense, been fantastic for them. Second year with them. The Lions continue to shine. They keep on winning football games. They look absolutely dangerous. They're my second favorite team right now in the NFL. At number 1, not a lot of explanation needed. The Kansas City Chiefs, undefeated. They look fantastic. They're winning games with injuries. They're winning games with Mahomes not playing great, like we talked about just a few minutes ago. Really not much I have to say there. The Chiefs are my number 1 power ranked team. Swank's Tanks here for TSTV Sports and for Swank's Takes on the show. Those are my top 5 teams. And that's going to do it for this block. Appreciate all you guys tuning in yet again. Those were some major stories. Jets, Chiefs, power rankings, NFC North, all of it. Feel very blessed to be here talking to you all about it all. It's been great. We got one last segment coming up. Don't want to go anywhere. We're talking about Week 8 games. I got some picks. I got some best bets for you. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned in. Appreciate you. Coming here soon. Ladies and gentlemen, appreciate all you live listeners. And again, welcome back into Swank's Takes. Again, thank you to everybody who's making this show possible. It's been fantastic. Having a blast up here. Having fun. Doing it solo. I feel like it's kind of hard to do, but we're making it happen, especially with all the guys in front of me. TJ, Joseph, can't talk about them enough. Appreciate them so much. Let's have some fun. We've been having fun. Let's really have some fun now. We're going to talk about some Week 8 games. Week 7's in the past. Those stories are in the past. Let's talk Week 8. Again, I'm your host, Ryan Swantkowski. Let's get into it. It's going to be a last segment here. Our last block is going to be a quicker block. But let's look at some of the best games from Week 8. Got a graphic coming up pretty soon. Let's talk about the first game. The Philadelphia Eagles, 4-2, traveling. Oh no, he's giving away the best bets. Oh no. Oh, good, he took it down. We'll put that up here in a sec. There we go. Thanks, Joe. Philadelphia Eagles traveling to the Cincinnati Bengals. And the best bets are back on the screen. But that's okay. You'll see those here soon as well. That is a noon game. Eagles-Bengals. Noon game. Bengals favored by 3 points, over under 48. I'll have my pick here in a sec. Go over to Tampa Bay. Again, the injury-plagued Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's see what they can do. At home, they're underdogs to Atlanta. 2.5-point dogs, over under 46 points. That's a noon game as well. Let's go to Houston. The Houston Texans, as everybody know, my boys, putting biases aside, of course. Indianapolis Colts coming in. They've been kind of hot. They look good. Colts are 4-3, traveling to the 5-2 Texans. That's a noon game. Texans favored by 5, over under 46 points there. I'll have my pick here soon. Buffalo Bills traveling to the Seahawks of Seattle. What a tough place to play. That's going to be a fantastic game. Expect big things in that one. It's a 3:05 game. Buffalo favored by 3 on the road. Over under 47. I'll have my take for that one as well. Would have been maybe the game of the week, in all honesty. If you told me week 1, Bears-Commanders would have been the game of the week, probably wouldn't have believed it. Chicago is favored by 3. Jaden Daniels, I don't believe, will play in this game. Had a rib injury. That's why I think Chicago is favored here by 3. Over under 43.5, one of the lowest totals of the slate. Then Joe Duffy back there is probably smiling. Maybe not, though. It's been a rough year so far for the Cowboys. They go to take on the 49ers. They are 4-point underdogs. 49ers 4-point favorites. Over under 46.5 in this game. These are the best games of Week 8. There's obviously other ones. These are the premier matchups. Also, very interesting of Week 8. Not a single bye week. You get a full NFL slate. All 32 teams are playing. For an NFL fan, your team's definitely playing. I know my team's playing. I'm excited to watch them play. We got some best bets coming up, and I'm going to give you these predictions here. Again, those are the best 6 games I found on the slate. Those are the points. Those are the favorites, as you can see on the screen. Let's get into Swank's Banks. Somebody told me earlier that had a weird ring to it, or alluded to something dirty. I don't understand. Swank's Banks is a great name. TJ agrees with me here in studio. Let's go over it. All right, Eagles again at Bengals. I got the Eagles winning it outright. They're not even favored here. Here's my reasoning. Bengals are 28th in rushing offense. Eagles defense, rushing-wise, has been solid. The Bengals can't run the ball. They rely on Joe Burrow way too much, Jamar Chase way too much, T. Higgins way too much. Their throwing offense has been good, don't get me wrong. You have to be able to run the ball at a somewhat elite level to compete with teams like the Eagles. The Bengals did not start off great. Who have they beaten the past 2 weeks? They beat the Giants. That doesn't interest me. They beat the Browns. That also doesn't interest me. Both those teams are bottom 5 of the league. I need to see the Bengals beat a competent team and do it, hopefully, maybe even rushing the ball. That's why I got the Eagles here on the road. Defense has too many holes for the Bengals as well. Think they get exposed. Give me Eagles money line at plus 120. I have them to win the game. Next pick. Houston Texans -5 against the Colts. I don't like them just to win. I like the Texans to cover here. Everybody watching. Swank, you're being biased. Joe, probably back there. Swank, you're being biased. I'm not. I'm not being biased. Texans this year, 3-0 at home. One of the reasons I'm taking them here, -5 to cover the points against the Colts. Colts defense this year, here's some stats for you. 29th overall defense. Doesn't sound too good to me. 31st in rushing defense. That is the pivotal stat of this entire game. Joe Mixon has been a top 10, if not top 5, running back this season for the Houston Texans. 31st best rushing defense in the NFL by the Colts. Joe Mixon should have an absolute field day running against this Colts defense, who was supposed to be better this year. DeForest Buckner, other guys up front. He's been a little injured. Joe Mixon should have an absurd day in fantasy. Make sure to start him. He will have a game. That's why I like Texans -5. I mean, Jonathan Taylor's dinged up for the Colts as well. He's questionable. He's missed the past few games for them. Colts since 2022, 4-9-1 record against in-division opponents. All these numbers are telling me not only will the Texans win, the Texans will cover. I like them -5. Third pick of the day for Sunday. I got the Bears -3. On the road, favored by 3. Young Chicago Bears team led by Caleb Williams. You might be thinking, wow, favored. How are they favored? Again, this all relies on Jaden Daniels not playing. Don't believe he's questionable. He did not practice today. I don't think he's going to get the start. I think they're going to keep him out for this game. I like Bears to cover -3 at the Commanders. No Jaden Daniels, like I said. My prediction for this one, Bears defense plays great. Marcus Mariota, believe will get the start there for the Commanders. Don't think he gets it done. Again, he can use his legs. Not nearly a good enough passer, against this Bears defense to get it done. I like the Bears -3. Bears have won 3 straight. I expect them to make it 4. Again, they're 4-2 on the season. They play they beat the Rams, Panthers, and Jags. That's not very good competition. It's actually quite incompetent competition. Regardless, you play who you play. I like the Bears -3 against the Commanders. My last pick for you of Week 8. I didn't even touch on this game because it's not going to be a good game. I didn't even mention it. Panthers-Broncos. Swank, you're thinking, Swank, why are you bringing up this game? The worst team in the NFL going to, the Broncos, they're 4-3, they're fine. Stingy offense, very good defense, low-scoring games. That's how it rolls. I have to. This is my absolute best bet, lock of the weekend. I got under 41.5 points. I'll tell you why. I got a lot of reasoning here. First one, it might be the most important one. You know that guy, Bryce Young, who the Panthers took first overall last year in the draft, and they gave up a lot of draft capital for him. It's in fact why Caleb Williams is a Bear. Yeah, he's getting the start. He was benched, I believe, after 3 or 4 weeks there in Carolina. They're the worst team in the NFL, plain and simple. Bryce Young gets the start. I trust more in Andy Dalton than I do Bryce Young, unfortunately. Bryce Young's been a turnover machine, not been able to control the ball, can't push the ball downfield. I don't expect the Panthers to score more than 10 points in this game. Oh, man. Let's keep going. Denver, one of the best run defenses in the NFL. They're number 1 in red zone defense in the NFL. Again, teams are getting into the red zone on Denver. When they do it, they're not giving up any touchdowns. Been a lot of field goals. Number 1 red zone defense in the NFL by the Denver Broncos. Here's my thing. 41.5 points. You might think, that's really not that much. In fact, I believe it's the lowest total of the entire Week 8 slate. If the Denver Broncos score 31 points, let's just say hypothetically they score 31, can the Carolina Panthers score 10 points in Denver against a top 5 defense in Denver against the best red zone defense in the NFL at Denver? I don't see it happening. I really don't. I really, really don't. Denver can score 31. I don't even think the Panthers score 10. That's my biggest lock of the weekend. I got the under in Panthers-Broncos scoring. That was our preview of the best Week 8 games. We got a really great slate ahead. It's going to be fantastic. Those are my best bets. If you want to follow them, go ahead. Again, betting's not legal here in Texas. You might not be listening in Texas or watching in Texas. Maybe you're listening in a state that it's legal. That's fantastic. Even if you don't bet, fun to look at the lines. It's been a major upcoming recently. Got to talk about it. Those are my best bets of Week 8. Those are the best games, in my opinion, of Week 8. Should be a fantastic slate. And that will do it here for our show of Swank's Takes here today. Swank's Takes here at TSTV Sports. I appreciate everybody out there who's been watching the whole time. Really means the absolute world to me. So much hard work been put in this past week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, not only by me, by the rest of the staff, Joe Duffy especially, everybody who's helped out with this show, Gabriel Silva. It's been an unbelievable opportunity to be up here. Been following a dream of mine. This has been, again, an idea of mine for months to try to do my own show with graphics, live, up-to-date stuff, statistics, and I couldn't be more proud of how it turned out. Again, appreciate everybody who's been helping me with this journey. Can't wait to see how it all turned out. Thank you, everybody, for watching and for listening. I appreciate you more than you know. Let's have a great rest of the night. Have a great start to your weekend if Thursday night. Hopefully you're not working on Friday. Again, Ryan Swantkowski here at TSTV Sports. I appreciate you, all of you, for watching so much, and have a great rest of your night.